Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 8 ways to make your home feel more designed. Have you ever been looking through Pinterest or a magazine or on Instagram and found a beautiful inspiration photo and think to yourself, I wish my home looked more like that? There's some simple things you can do around your home that don't cost you a lot that can make your home look curated and Pinterest worthy. Number 1, art. Now, I'm not talking about going to Home Goods or TJ Maxx or Target and buying the exact same piece of art that everybody else has on their wall. No, we're talking about unique, one-of-a-kind pieces that make your home feel special. Now, if you don't know what type of art you want or what will fit with your aesthetic in your home, consider taking to Instagram or Pinterest and look at the accounts that have a similar style as you or your inspiration style. Look at the types of art that they're including in their space and try to find something that emulates that same aesthetic. Now, I'm not saying you can't find really great pieces, because I've found some things at those big box stores that really look nice. But the key is to mix those in with unique pieces you found in other places. A lot of people think you need to spend a lot of money to have really nice art, and that's just not the case. You can shop at places such as your local coffee shop, restaurants. A lot of times they'll have local artists and small artists to get their name out, and it helps them with their decor. Also, check out the thrift stores and the antique stores around you. You can find some amazing options that are really affordable just because somebody didn't want them themselves. If you're not digging what you're finding around town, that's okay. Consider DIYing a piece yourself. There's tons of tutorials online that teach you how to make some simple art. If you don't think you have the skill set to make a piece of art that you love, or you're like me and are too critical of your own stuff, listen, we're working on it. We're getting there. It's kind of what this YouTube channel is about, is self-reflection and self-acceptance. We're working on it. But regardless, if you don't want to make your own piece, consider looking on places like Etsy, Society6, Decenio. You can look anywhere. It's really easy, and you can find things that still support artists, but also give you something unique. Number 2, keepsakes and souvenirs. Some of the most interesting pieces I have in my home were either gifted to me by family members or purchased while I was traveling. Now, I know we've been in the pandemic for a few years now, and traveling has been kind of restricted, but things are opening up now. So as you're going on those trips, look for keepsakes that will look really nice in your space and that give you some warmth and depth to your home. If you pick up a piece while traveling, it's really something that no one else will have in their home because they can't just run down to the store and get it themselves. Think of this as a way to curate your style from all over the world and make your home unique to you. Also, what's really great about souvenirs that mean something to you is every time you walk past those in a room, you will look at it and be reminded of the fond memories of that trip, which is really great. Now, on the flip side, if you buy a kitschy bowl or, some sort of art with a snarky saying as a gag gift, or just because you think it's funny and it doesn't go with your style, consider keeping those items in closed door storage. You can still have them, but maybe don't put them on display. Family heirlooms can bring a lot of warmth and history into your space and are a really good way to make your home feel unique. If they fit your style, put them on display and enjoy them. That's what your family wanted you to do. But on the flip side, if you hate it, it's okay to pass it on. I'm here to tell you, you can release the guilt of holding on to great grand's china that you're never going to use. It's okay. Now, You may want to ask the family before donating it if someone else wants it, but if nobody else does, then consider reselling it on places like Facebook Marketplace or donating it to your local charity shop. Number 3, mix your design styles. I will not tell you how many times I have gone into someone's home and it looks like they went to a furniture store, picked out everything in the room, and dropped it in their space. That doesn't feel like a curated home. It doesn't feel unique. It doesn't feel warm. It actually feels the opposite. It feels cold and sterile, and that's what we want to avoid. Now, you want to know what design styles you lean into so that you can search for inspiration, and that's helpful. But I would say keep it to 2 to 3 design styles to mix so that you can have interest and depth into your space, not necessarily feel cookie cutter and, basic, for lack of a better word. You want your home to be a reflection of you, not some magazine or visual merchandiser who thought things looked good put together. Now, there are no rules around design, so you can mix and match whatever you want. If you look through a magazine and you see a space that you fall head over heels in love with, do this. Try to identify what design aesthetics they are using and what design styles they're using. I guarantee you that designer has mixed accessories or furniture styles of multiple different genres, and that is what makes it interesting. The juxtaposition of those styles makes a space feel curated. Now, there is a thing as too many styles. I would say once you get above 4 or 5, that's it. Your space is gonna look discombobulated, disjointed, and kind of a hot mess. Even maximalist and eclectic styles have a common thread running through. They pick 2 to 3 either design styles or eras to work into. So if you go in, you'll see like some 70s mod stuff as well as some eclectic art, but it all blends and works together because there is a common thread. Number 4, plants. They can be real, they can be faux, they can be cut flowers, they can be dried bouquets. It doesn't matter. But regardless, because it was a living thing or is a living thing, it brings life back into a space. As you can see, I like to mix them. I have dried eucalyptus here and I have a pothos plant here. Both blend in and give life to the space. If you have a green thumb, I would say go real plants all day. But you have to be able to commit to learning about what type of light they need and a watering schedule. Not gonna lie, I bought a lot of plants during the pandemic, and some of them have been very happy and have grown leaps and bounds. Others, well, they haven't made it, and that's okay because I'm learning. But I always try to consult some of my wonderful friends who have really green thumbs or the internet to figure out what in the world I'm doing wrong. They can be temperamental and get unhappy very quickly. So realize that they are a living thing and need specific elements to keep them alive, just like humans. Live plants also help to improve the air quality in your home, which is really wonderful. And they've been clinically proven to release serotonin and help with conditions such as anxiety and depression. So if you're in a funk, go get a plant and it may help. I'm just saying, it might. So try it. Worst case scenario, it doesn't, but you have a beautiful plant that helps add to your design aesthetic. Now, if you don't have a green thumb, that's okay. A lot of us don't. You can find some really, really convincing artificial plants at places like Hobby Lobby or Amazon, but a little tip for you is to take a little bit of dirt and put over top of the soil. It'll make it look like a real plant even if it's not. I have fooled so many people by doing that, so try it. You can do cut flowers, you can do dried bouquets. Those are also wonderful options. I like to buy flowers every now and again. I just don't do it every single week for whatever reason, but I kind of wish I did. And you don't have to spend $100 per bouquet. Go to places like your local farmer's market or Trader Joe's or even your local grocery store. You can find a variety of flowers that don't cost an arm and a leg and make your own bouquets. Also, if you're looking for a dried bouquet option, there are places like Etsy that have some amazing artisans that do dried bouquets. Also, Urban Stems is a great place that you can order one or gift one to someone else. Number 5, mix all the things. And when I say all the things, I mean all the things. I'm talking texture, tones of color, patterns, scale, you name it, you need to mix it. Let's break it down a little bit further. I'll give you some details on it. So when it comes to color, it's really important to understand that there are shades and tones and hues of color. Now that's a lot of design words, I know, and they all kind of sound similar. And there's some in-depth stuff to it that we won't really get into. But the point is, you want to make sure that your color has variation in it. So say you fall in love with a lovely shade of rust. You drool over it in the store, you buy everything the store has to offer in that rust color. It looks like you walked into a showroom, bought the whole thing, and now you're stuck with it. And that's not the look you're going for. You want a curated home. That's the key to this whole video. A curated home that looks thoughtful and well put together. You want your color palette to have depth. So you want to pick items that have the same undertone but vary in shades. Texture. Now, if you're not into color and you want an all-white home or all-neutral home, I get it. It can be so aesthetically pleasing and it's trending right now. But you gotta mix in texture. You can't have everything be just a flat cotton weave and all one pile. You also don't want everything to be fuzzy. You don't want a fuzzy rug, a fuzzy pillow, a fuzzy blanket. I mean, maybe you do, it's your home. You can do whatever you want. There are no rules. But if you want it to feel curated, you want to mix and match patterns. So for instance, get a low pile rug or jute rug, then pair it with a boucle textile like a pillow. Then maybe you include a fuzzy blanket or a wool rug. I don't know, but you need to mix it and you need to match it because that gives you depth, especially when you're not using color to identify differentiation. If you didn't have texture, it may feel like you're just in a blank void of white or neutrals. So that texture gives the depth that your eye needs to see to feel intrigued and engaged. If you really want to take your space to the next design level, mix and match your prints. The key is to have different scales of prints and patterns. So you want to pair a small ditzy, like really micro print with a medium-sized one, such as like on a pillow, and then maybe an oversized blanket pattern, like a big plaid. It can look really, really nice. The key is when mixing and matching patterns is a common color or a common theme. So you don't want everything to just be plaid on plaid on plaid on plaid on plaid. You want to include an oversized plaid with a Turkish rug pattern and maybe, you know, a ditzy floral pillow. But you need to mix and match it. Scale is everything when it comes to design. You need to make sure that whatever you bring in your space is the right scale. The worst thing you can do is go to a store, pick out beautiful furniture, and you bring it in your space, and now all of a sudden, it looks cramped, and it looks tight, and you feel like you have just, I don't know, messed up your entire design aesthetic, and you spent tons of money on it, and it just doesn't work. Now, when I talk about scale, I mean everything. Your furniture, your lighting, your pillows, your rugs. It all needs to work together and it all needs to fit within your space. And listen, if you walk into a space and everything is on the same horizon, so the same level, your eye is going to be so bored. Everything, is just one note all the way across. There's nothing for your eye to kind of bounce around on. That's not what makes a good space designed. You want to make sure that you have some things that are at a lower level, some that are a higher level, some that are mid-level, and you want to make sure that you're staggering those items across the room so that your eye has somewhere to land. You kind of want it to be like one of those little, the heartbeat things, you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to furniture, you basically have to be Goldilocks. It cannot be too big, it cannot be too small, it has to be just right. One thing people don't realize is when you go furniture shopping, you're typically going into a big box store like IKEA or a warehouse or, a big distribution center, depending on where you're getting it. Heck, even the charity shops and thrift stores are these big industrial spaces. Typically, they're 4 times the size of your house and they have 20-foot ceilings. And so everything in those spaces looks smaller. It looks like it'll fit because, the proportions of the scale of the furniture versus the space are okay. When you get it into your home, typically you don't have 20-foot ceilings. You don't have wide open spaces. I mean, if you live in a downtown loft apartment, you might have that luxury, but most of us are dealing with dinky 8-foot ceilings, and big furniture can make it feel very overwhelming. Try measuring the items you currently have in your space or taping it out on the ground to see what your maximum size of furniture should be. This will help you once you go into those larger spaces and be able to measure and say, oh, no, I cannot have my chair be wider than 2.5 feet. It has to stick within this footprint or else there won't be enough room to walk. Number 7, color placements. Much like scale, you want your color to be placed around the room so that it leads your eye to go and explore other areas. Just like we talked about, your color can be in tones and shades, but you want your accent color, like your pop, to be on one side of the room, on the other, on the next, and you also want those to be at different heights. This helps to make sure that the eye is following around the room and also moving up and down. This will engage the eye and make a space feel more thoughtful. If you only put an accent color in one spot in your room, it can feel disjointed and out of place. Number 8, vignettes. Have you ever heard of the rule of 3? Now, I know earlier I said there are no rules, and there aren't, but this is a suggestion, if you will. It states that the human eye prefers things in an odd number. Typically, it likes 3 or 5. It considers it more visually appealing. If you have a vignette with a mirror, a book, and a piece of pottery, obviously your book is made of paper. Your mirror, probably wood and glass. Your pottery, ceramic. You want to make sure that they're different colors and different heights. This will add depth to your vignette. Also consider layering those items. So you can have your mirror in the back and your book and then maybe your piece of pottery on top. You want to make sure that your vignettes are intentional. So you don't just want some random spot that just has a bunch of stuff, or you don't want them everywhere in your space. You want to make them intentional and thoughtful. A really good tip is to put them in places that people already linger. So i.e. by the front door when people are putting on their coats, on their shoes, grabbing their bags, saying goodbye. Maybe on the kitchen island while everyone's snacking and talking and conversing, or maybe on the coffee table, so that when you go to get them a drink, you have something interesting for them to look at and explore. At the end of the day, your home should be a reflection of you and those you share it with. As long as you love it, that's all that matters. But if you're looking for a little refresh, I hope these tips and tricks will help guide you into making your space feel more designed and more curated. Comment below which of these 8 tips you either already do or you're itching to implement in your space. Thanks friends so much for tuning in today. I hope you had a good time learning about 8 ways to make your home feel more designed. Make sure you tune in next Saturday for a new video. I'll see y'all next week. Bye!